Hi, and welcome to this workshop on writing essay introductions. Writing an introduction can often seem overwhelming and sometimes impossible. This workshop identifies what an introduction should do to catch your reader's attention and set the stage for the body of your paper to help you feel more comfortable writing one. In this workshop, we will review the functions of an essay introduction and illustrate the working parts of an introduction, such as the hook, context, and thesis statement. Please note that there are a lot of essay types and some have specific guidelines. We are presenting general guidelines here, but you should always check with your instructor to make sure you are meeting all expectations of your assignment. Because introductions welcome a writer to your paper, they come at the beginning of a paper and can range from being one paragraph long to several pages long, depending on the length of your paper. Introductions typically do most, if not all, of the following: capture the reader's interest, introduce the subject, theme, and/or scope of your essay, set the essay's tone and/or direction or outline of what the essay will cover, start building your credibility as the writer, contextualize the subject discussed in the essay, present a thesis statement. Introductions typically contain three working parts: an interesting hook, relevant context of the topic, and a thesis statement. In this short introduction paragraph, we see all three parts. It begins with a hook. In 2017, research and development, or R&D, funding made up only 62% of the U.S. GDP, which is the lowest contribution since 1955. In this case, the hook is a statistic that lets the readers know that this paper will be about R&D funding, and that grabs the reader's interest by trying to surprise them about how little federal funding is devoted to R&D. Next, there are a few sentences that give relevant background information to the topic, including reasons why public investment in R&D has been beneficial both within the U.S. and beyond. Finally, a thesis statement is presented at the end of the paragraph arguing that the United States should increase their R&D funding. What the introduction does is help us, the readers, see where the rest of this paper will go. We would assume that through the body paragraphs, the writer will present a variety of reasons for how increased R&D support will improve aspects of research being done in the U.S., or maybe even ways in which the U.S. can increase its R&D support. So next, let's break down these three introduction elements. The first introduction element is a hook that grabs the interest of the reader and establishes the tone for the rest of the essay. It must directly connect to the topic of the paper as it prepares the reader for the overall argument or discussion. Hooks appear in many forms, such as a fact, an anecdote, a statistic, example, description, intriguing statement or paradox, quote, analogy, or question to be answered. Here we show four options, and I'll discuss two. The top left example uses an interesting fact that Dr. Tchiki Davis has found that practicing gratitude daily can help boost one's mood and decrease negative emotions. This sentence lets us know that the rest of the paper will be about the relationship between gratitude and mood, and since it begins with the scholar's research findings, we would expect that the rest of the paper will include research to discuss these ideas. The bottom right example is made up of more than one sentence, and it includes a quote from Jonas Salk explaining why he declined to patent his polio vaccine. Quote, "There is no patent. Could you patent the sun?" This hook introduces the essay's topic, patents, as well as a particular scientist's views on patents. The readers could expect to learn more about patents generally, or perhaps medical patents specifically, through the rest of the paper. Keep in mind that hooks should be specific to the topic of the essay and should be directly connected to the rest of the information you include in your introduction. The second element for writing an introduction is to provide context that frames an understanding of the topic at hand. The context gives the readers the details necessary to understand where the rest of the paper is going and to lead up to the argument or main idea in the thesis statement. There are several ways to provide context in your introduction. You can explain why the topic is important enough that it should be discussed in your essay, explain the historical and cultural background of an issue, Acknowledge the arguments and counterarguments in research or the discipline's conversations to set up the main claim that will come in your thesis statement. You should also consider who your audience is and what their background and perspectives are. That will help you decide which context details to include and which you don't need to mention because your readers already know them. Ask yourself, what kind of background information would they need to better understand your essay's purpose? What will interest your readers the most? What are their concerns? Talking to a friend or family member may help you understand what other people know about the topic and what their concerns and interests are. In some instances, the hook may provide some context, as with an interesting fact or an anecdote that gives background information important for developing the central argument. It's okay if one or more sentences act as both a hook and the context. The third and final element of an essay introduction is a thesis statement. First, you should remember that the need for a thesis statement and the type of thesis statement depends on the type of essay you are writing. Please check with your instructor to make sure you are fulfilling all expectations. And if you get stuck working on your thesis statement, check out the Writing Center's other thesis statement resources on our website. A thesis statement presents the dominant idea, explanation, evaluation, or argument that you want to impress on your reader. In theory, someone should be able to read only your thesis statement and identify where you stand on an issue and how you plan to support it. A thesis statement provides a blueprint that incorporates the essay's main points, keywords, or ideas into one or two sentences. They are often found at the end of the first paragraph, or wherever the introduction ends, and map out what is written in the body of your essay. It can be described as an answer to the central question that your essay will explore. Keep in mind that as you draft your essay, your argument or focus might change, so make sure you return to your thesis statement and revise it if necessary. There are three main steps to build a thesis statement, which are to state your topic, take a position, and list any ideas or reasons that support your claim. Here we see these components in action. The example reads, though uniforms are told to enhance community spirit and unity, educational institutions should not force students to wear them because it limits their freedom of expression and violates their rights. We understand that this writer's topic is about school uniform mandates. We also identify the position of the writer being that educational institutions should not force students to wear them. Their position is then followed by supporting reasons such as it limiting their freedom of expression and violating their rights. Here, the writer does give the opposing viewpoint that uniforms enhance community spirit and unity, which can be a useful way to create a thesis, but it isn't always a necessary component. Don't forget that it's crucial to identify the type, purpose, and situation of the essay you are writing, as these factors will influence the language, content, and organization of your introduction. Because an introduction needs to give readers background information, you might do some research to identify what is helpful to include. Similarly, since you have to make sure your readers know enough about the topic in the introduction to be able to follow your thoughts through your body paragraphs, you might spend some time brainstorming everything you know on the topic to then identify those key details. Let your introduction develop as you continue to work on your essay. It is expected that you will revise your introduction and thesis statement to make sure they accurately reflect the main ideas or arguments you present through the body paragraphs of your essay. Also, introductions don't need to be written first. If you feel stuck or unable to write your introduction, try writing the body of your essay first, then return to the introduction once you know what your paper actually says. As long as you have the claims of your thesis statement drafted to give you a clear direction for the paper, there's no harm starting with the body of your essay before your introduction. If you are looking for more information on writing introductions and thesis statements, or just want to see what else the Writing Center offers, visit our website, writingcenter.unlv.edu. You can locate the most up-to-date information on our hours, access the online writing lab, find instructions on how to schedule in-person or virtual consultations, and more. Also, check out our writing resources page to find a variety of handouts and other workshops covering many writing, formatting, style, and grammar topics. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the materials presented? Do you have a quick writing question that we could answer in less than 10 minutes? Are you having difficulty scheduling an appointment? Give us a call at 702-895-3908. Email us or send us a Google chat at writingcenter@unlv.edu, or stop by our main office in Building 3 of the Central Desert Complex. You can also follow us on social media for information on Writing Center events, to learn grammar tips, find fun words of the day, get some motivation for writing, and much, much more. All of our video workshops can also be found on our YouTube channel. Search UNLV Writing Center on any of these platforms to find us. We look forward to working with you in the Writing Center. Happy writing.